Prepare for a breakthrough terror game from Nicholas that... Right now, murder games are hot in the Roblox nation. We're back with a new murder game from Mad Studio. It's been over a year since murder games took over Roblox, and in 2015, they're still topping the... Murder Mystery 2, the sequel of the 2014 smash hit from Nicholas, is #1 top earning and #3 most popular.
Hey everyone, it's me, Sloth. Let me ask you guys a little bit of a personal question, but what is your favorite type of murder? Personally, I prefer third-degree murder, but another good way to murder people is through Roblox. Especially back in 2014, people seemed to just really love games where you murder people because you just had a lot of top games like The Mad Murderer, Murder Mystery 1, Twisted Murder, Twisted Mad Murder Mystery, and you just had all these murder games at the top. All of which are actually dead now because they got murdered. But among these ashes, Murder Mystery 2 ended up coming out and that game rose to the top. Since then, Murder Mystery 2 has been dominating this entire genre so hard that it has come to the point where literally Murder Mystery 2's main competition is just modded versions of Murder Mystery 2. But in today's video, I'm going to be looking at Murder Mystery 2's more legitimate competitors, you know, the ones that can't just be Thanos snatched by Nicholas if he really wanted to. I'm going to be ranking them on a tier list for content. Even though this is a tier list for Roblox murder games, not every game on this list has to be a 1-to-1 remake of the Garry's Mod murder game mode. As long as the game has similar combat mechanics to most of these games have similar throwing knife mechanics and all that, as long as it just basically has that, then it's going to be fair game for this list. The only rule I'm going to say is no modded versions of Murder Mystery 2 are going to be on this list because there's way too many of them. They usually get taken down anyway because most of them are just, well actually all of them are pretty much just TOS violations. And I'm already ranking Murder Mystery 2 anyway, so there's no point in even talking about them. Which, by the way, speaking of Murder Mystery 2... Murder Mystery 2 is one of those flagship Roblox games that doesn't need much of an introduction. It is the sequel to Murder Mystery 1, but like all good sequels, no one even remembers the original. The real question is if this game lives up to all the hype it gets or not. You have 3 roles in this game you'll be playing as, which is the innocent, which only has to evade the murder, the sheriff, who has to shoot the murder, and the murderer, who has to murder everyone. There are no special rounds, so this is all you'll be doing. The main thing this game has going for are the iconic maps. They're just high in quantity and quality, and have a good mix of open spaces and more claustrophobic spaces in them. There's also good choke points thrown in there for the murderer, and you have plenty of hiding spots for the innocents to discover. One thing I really wish this game did more of was interactive stuff on the maps. For example, you have stuff like the metal detectors in the bank map that go off if you're carrying a weapon, and the sheriff can actually open up this vault to open up a doorway for anyone to go through, and it's just little things like this that make the maps a lot more immersive and interesting to play on. Another good example is the military base map, which has this button you can press to close this giant door, and it's really funny to close it on the murder if you can pull it off. My favorite map in this game though is easily the resource facility. It just has a lot of fun gimmicks in it. You have the teleporter that sends you across the map, you have the cloning machine which also may or may not give you random side effects. The roll detector is always fun to use, the electric box that the murderer can take out to shut off all the power, and of course the emergency lockup button which will close the 2 main doors in this map. I know the research facility being filled with gimmicks is the gimmick of research facility, but I'd love to see more little things like the metal detector, even that military base door, because the rest of the maps are just kind of bricks. The main thing plaguing the gameplay of this game is not actually the teamers, since all of these games are going to have teamers and you can't really do much about them, but it is the shrimp-sized avatars. Like, look at this avatar, would you want to play against this? Maybe Nicholas needs to add a sign in the lobby that says you need to be a certain height to play Murder Mystery 2, but something needs to be done because these avatars are just really annoying to play against. I know Nicholas knows these avatars are an issue because early on when he had things like the Magma Fiend character, he's just straight up disabled the legs of the Magma Fiend character in Murder Mystery 2. Like, if you use this character, Nicholas will steal your legs and not even tell you why. But yeah, Nicholas has just pretty much given up on this battle against tiny avatars, and before people in the comments say I do know the disguise mode exists and I can just play that and there won't be any tiny avatars in that mode, but maybe I don't want to be locked in first person and play as boring blocky characters. Like, I still think this game could really benefit from having this tiny avatar detector. Moving on to the things that piss me off really bad about this game. The throwing knife mechanics is absolute trash on PC. You're not able to charge the knife by holding left mouse button and releasing to throw it. You're just forced to press E and it'll do this day-long wind-up and throw the knife no matter what. Oh, I almost forgot the shop. The shop in this game is awful. Oh my god. You have skin loot boxes, which are just whatever. Most of the effects are pretty ugly, and some of them are even locked behind premium currencies. And then you have the powers, which the powers are okay. And then the worst section is the emote section. Like, are you kidding me? 10 $8 for a floss emote. You want me to pay $10 when you could just get the Roblox version for $1? At this point, you're just getting robbed. The toys in this game are also just very boring. They don't have any sound effects tied to them, and I know they don't want them to be too annoying, so just make it to be really close proximity to hear sounds from them. I guess you get these animations for them, which suck really bad. Like, why is the pieces just teleporting to my forehead? The pets in this game don't do anything besides give away your hiding spots, and even though the designs are so uninspired, big games even bother to DMCA this game just because they look so ugly. There's also an entire section dedicated to the radios, which I don't get, because all I can play is sound effects on these radios now.
Rolling! Rolling! Strike! Bye-bye.
Chilling out for a second though, I do like the spray paint in this game.
Nom. Nom. Nom nom nom.
Wait, what did he just make? Stop moving! Bro, wait, how old are you?
What is he making?
Personally, if I was Nicholas, I'd give the decal UI the radio treatment and allow you to search for images and store images on the spray paint, because you could honestly make a lot of money doing that. Before I get too off topic though, I'm going to put this game at B tier. I think the maps do all the heavy lifting while the actual game is a little overrated, and I know Mercy 2 fans are very dedicated to this game, so I'm going to get piped bombed for saying this, but yeah, the game's just overrated. That $10 floss emote made me really mad though, so let's just talk about the Mad Murder X. The easiest way to describe this game is Murder Mystery 2, but if the developers were just straight up Giga Chads. Mad Studios' Mad Murderer 1 was definitely good at the time when its only competitor was Murder Mystery 1, and the Mad Murder 2 actually kinda sucked. But this game, they finally nailed it in my opinion. First off, these are just the most fun maps to see in any murder game just because of all the personality and interactable stuff poured into them. For example, take this Bad Business map. At first glance, you might just think this is your normal office map, but you actually have a working elevator, which is unusual for offices, and you have a trap door that players can activate by pressing a big red button, and also gives you a good old yippee for good measure. And players can also collect these green emeralds on the map to create a teleport on this gargoyle, or if you interact with it, you'll teleport to a room filled with gold and treasure. My favorite map in this game though is easily the Asylum. It's split into 2 floors and can go up and down with either by using this really fun elevator or a vent. It wouldn't be an insane asylum without rats all over the place, and if you collect all of the rats, you can actually open up this teleport which will teleport you into this wonderful wonderland, and the only cure from this place is of course Mountain Dew. But yeah, each map in this game is just a unique fun experience. I will say though, they are definitely on the smaller side, especially when you directly compare these maps to Murder Mystery 2, but they have a lot of warps and elevators and other gimmicks in them that usually give you a lot of opportunities to evade the murder, so it does balance itself out. The map design in this game does make the rounds a lot more faster paced compared to the rounds in Murder Mystery 2, which I'm not complaining about at all since it usually just means less time is spent rotting away in the lobby, and even if you are stuck rotting away in the lobby, there's always some dance party going on and you're able to vote for the next map even if the match hasn't ended yet, so I have to give it bonus points for that as well. Back to the dance party thing though, this is by far one of the best emote systems I've ever seen in a Roblox game. Each emote has unique sound effects tied to it, and you're also able to join an emote even if you don't actually own the emote, which is just really fun and also a very useful tool at rigging democracy. You also just have good fun scenarios where everyone's dancing like they're in Salon de Fiestas, and then they just all die at once to the murderer. This game still has a small avatar issue that Murder Mystery 2 has, but I will give it some extra credit for this because it at least attempts to detect small avatars. For example, if I use this fly avatar but scale it all the way down, the game will let me play as it and it'll notify me in the chat that my avatar is too small and switch me to anonymous mode. But it's not perfect because if I use the same exact avatar scaled all the way down but use headless instead of the fly head, it'll let me play as the avatar and it's just straight up broken. Also, the team deathmatch mode in this game is fun, but sometimes some lobbies will just keep voting for it over and over again, so they should definitely make it a lot more scarce. Like, it should be more of a special round, not something that's played a 50-50 chance with a murderer round. Also, the abilities in this game are awesome. Like, take the Murder Mystery 2 abilities for example, you have things like this fake gun perk, which allows you to make innocents think you're the sheriff, which I don't even know what you're supposed to do after that, and most people don't even fall for it, and let's be real, it's useless. Once the sheriff sees you waving this gun around, you're just gonna get shot. The Mad Murderer X takes a way more fun approach with the deception type ability with the ability Frame Curse, and this ability will leave a trap that only you can see, and if a player walks through it, they'll be equipped with a fake knife that forces them into the stabbing and throwing animations, which usually results in the sheriff shooting them, or at least the innocents getting freaked out if they don't realize it's the perk. And stuff like this is just infinitely more fun than the fake gun, because giving the innocents a fake knife is just genius. It also has an interesting level of strategy to this game where the person is going to have to think a little bit before shooting. You're also able to swap between the abilities mid-match, which isn't as broken as it sounds because each ability has its own cooldown, so you can't spam all your abilities at once because you'll be stuck waiting for the cooldown for whatever ability you use. But I will say there is one broken combo, which is the bear trap and teleport and the gun. That combo is absolutely ridiculous. You shouldn't be able to place a bear trap and teleporter too close to each other. It should prevent you from doing that. Also, I'm going to glaze for the shop in this game just because it's so much better than the one in Murder Mystery 2. There is no premium currency in this game, so everything you can see you can just buy with coins by playing the game. There are still game passes and collector's items that are locked to Robux though. Getting coins in this game also just feels a lot more forgiving than getting coins in Murder Mystery 2. There is no max coin limit bag or anything stupid like that, and you're also able to find piles and crates around the map, which your pets can open up to give you even more coins. I know people see stuff like that and just think of pet simulator, but in my opinion it's a very creative way of making these pets actually useful in a murder game. Trading has never really been my thing in any Roblox game, but I do want to point out the nice quality of life features this trading system has. For example, you're able to see how much an item exists, which allows you to better evaluate how rare it is. The only exception is collector's knives. If they're still on sale, it won't show you how much there are until they're off sale. But other than that, it will show how much people have metal pipes or troll knives. You're also able to trade coins in this game, which is just such a Giga Chad feature to add in a game like this, because most other knife trading games like this, they don't even dare add the ability to trade coins for some reason. Also, the toys in this game are just a lot more fun to use than the ones in Murder Mystery 2. They actually have good animations tied to them and sound effects, so they just feel really fun to throw around when you're the innocent or something. It is a crime almost as severe as first degree murder that more people aren't playing this game. I know people are very attached to the Murder Mystery 2 branding, and believe me, I was too back then. So they'll see a game like this exist and just think of Murder Mystery 2, and in a lot of cases they'll just leave the game to go play Murder Mystery 2, or even worse, a modded version of Murder Mystery 2. I wouldn't be opposed to this game rebranding itself to Mad Games 2 to set itself apart from Murder Mystery 2, and adding some funny stuff from the original Mad Games like your laser cat boss or the death box. Because honestly, the minigames genre is a lot less competitive than the murder game genre. All you have is epic minigames and a bunch of elimination-based games. If the game does go this route though, they should definitely keep the original Mad Murder game mode as its own game mode where you only play the Mad Murder, because it's just my favorite murder experience on Roblox. So this game is going in S tier. I just think it does the whole party game thing that Murder Mystery 2 is trying to do much better. Anyway, we're going to move away from the murder game mode stuff for a little bit and talk about Murder Mystery 2's most commercially successful competitor, which is the name that of course rolls right off the tongue, Murderers vs. Sheriffs Duels. This game is a great example of capitalizing on a niche that no one else bothered to try, and it does seem to have worked out well for them. Most murder games on Roblox play like casual party games, but in the background there was always an audience for the more competitive players who enjoyed the dueling in these games, and this game just comes into the scene and gives these sweaty players their murder dueling game they've always dreamed of. Let's cut the BS though, this game isn't actually murder versus sheriff since you can just swap between both of the weapons in the same match, and it doesn't really matter because right off the bat you'll quickly learn the gun is significantly better than the knife. So no one in the right mind would even choose the knife if it was an either or situation, and the stabbing of the knife is very inconsistent. It copies the stupid Murder Mystery 2 throwing system. At least the wind up isn't a day long, and there is an option in the settings to switch to the better throwing knife system, but you can tell this is something that's just kept on default just because Murder Mystery 2 is popular and more people have recognized that game. But yeah, the knife is somewhat useful if your gun is on cooldown in like some very rare situations, but most of the time it's just better to wait for the cooldown on the gun. Like honestly, I clicked on this game expecting murder versus sheriffs, and all I was given was sheriffs versus sheriffs. This game also has abilities, which I think it does the ability system very poorly. If you ask me, it'd make more sense for the knives and guns to have their own set of abilities to allow for more unique playstyles between the two weapons, but it's just a flat ability for both weapon types. They probably don't want to overcomplicate things because I did notice the majority of the players who play this game are mobile players, and that's pretty much just the tragic downfall of this game. It's trying to be this competitive, sweaty game, but it's also trying to cater to the casual mobile players because that's where the money is at. At the end, all you get is like a casual mobile game that makes casual players feel like they're really good at video games, but that's really not for me. The shop is also what you'd expect for a game like this. All you have is weapon skins and the abilities I mentioned earlier. There are emotes through the battle pass, and while I'd love to judge them to see how interesting these emotes are, you won't catch me grinding this game's battle pass at all. I did try a search on YouTube for these emotes, but no one's bothered to make an emote showcase, so my guess is that these emotes probably suck. This game is going in D tier. I guess if you like one-shot gun PvP, it's an okay game, but even then this is just nothing special. Moving on though, let's talk about Murder Party. Murder Party is definitely the most chaotic game in this list with the most amount of goofy nonsense, but you know me, I love my goofy nonsense. If you're familiar with murder games, you'll know that most of your time spent playing a murder game will be playing as the innocent role, which can be a little boring, so this game tries to solve that issue by splitting you up into 4 teams where you always have some objective that you have to focus on. I'm gonna be real, the first 10 to 15 minutes playing this game as a new player is extremely brutal, and I wouldn't blame you if you just got overwhelmed playing this game. If you don't know how the roles work and what they're capable of, you will get absolutely curb stomped, but once you actually learn the game and learn how all the roles work, it is pretty fun. Team Murder wins when they murder everyone, and they get 2 separate roles in their team, which is Murderer and Hunter. Murderer just has a knife, which works like your standard murder game knife weapon, and they just kill people with it. And the Hunter gets a crossbow punching glove gun that they can shoot at people with to give them the most obnoxious stun I've ever seen in a Roblox game. And once they do kill everyone, they have to kill each other at the end, and only one murderer can be left standing, and I think that's just hilarious. Team Law wins when they kill everyone on Team Murder, and they also have 2 separate roles in their team, which is sheriffs and detectives. The sheriff is just your standard sheriff role. They have a gun that one-shots people. And the detectives, they actually have a magnifying glass where if they look at someone for long enough, it'll expose whatever role they are. Team Chaos only has 1 role in it, which is the hacker, and the hacker plays most like your standard innocent role where all you have to do is survive. But if they do survive long enough and no one kills them, they hack the game and their whole team wins. They also have a teleport ability to help them evade the murders and stuff, but not gonna lie, this is definitely the weakest team, since they just rely on the murder team being good enough to not die to Team Law, but bad enough to the point where they can't catch the hackers to win. It's still an interesting role, but definitely the weakest one. Team Party also has 1 role in it, which is the party planner, but this role is actually pretty fun. All I have to do in Team Party is just give everyone a party hat, either by throwing one at them or just hitting them with a party hat. And once everyone in the game has a party hat, their team wins. I mean, their team pretty much only wins when all the other teams are caught lacking, but it's still a pretty fun role. There is an innocent role in this game, but it's pretty uncommon, and it relies on this really fun mechanic in this game where you can switch teams by picking up someone's item after they die. And this is one of my favorite mechanics in this game, because come on, being able to kill the murderer as a sheriff and then just pick up their knife and start killing people, you won't see that anywhere else. Moving on to criticisms though, my main gripe with this game is a lack of tutorial. Like, for a game this complex to newcomers, it's honestly shocking to me there is no how to play button in the UI, or maybe even something in the lobby that explains the roles and how their tools work. And this is very nitpicky, but while on the top of the lobby, I'm not a fan of this lobby at all. It doesn't really fit the theme of this game very well, and it just feels like something from a battle royale game. You also have these teleports in the lobby where some of them just straight up teleport you to another server without warning. Like, if it's gonna teleport me out of the server, a simple pop-up UI asking me if I actually want to teleport would be appreciated. And yes, this game still uses the Murder Mystery 2 E to throw system, which is tragic, and tiny avatars are still an issue. That being said, I really love the way the concept for this game is executed. The maps have fun, unique themes in them, and I really love the way they use moving parts, which is just a rare thing you never see any of the other Roblox games even attempts to do nowadays. The sound design in this game complements the roles very well and makes playing as some of them very satisfying. Like, for example, this kill sound that gradually gets higher and higher the more kills you get. I love little details like that. So I'm gonna say this game deserves A tier. It doesn't commit any major offenses like charge $10 for a floss emote, and it takes risks for the sake of originality, which is nice to see in Roblox. But please, if any of the developers for this game are watching this video, please add a guide or tutorial in-game. I still highly encourage you all to try this game out. It's such a hella fun time, especially with friends. But speaking of friends, I'm a little mad at my friends right now. None of them respond to my invite in Murder Party to come play Murder Party with me. So luckily the next game on this list is just straight up called Murder Your Friends. You know, it's kind of funny how we're talking about Roblox murder games, yet in these games you don't even spend a lot of time doing any actual murdering. Well, for the people who just like killing Roblox characters, this game will make you the murderer every single round and allow you to kill your friends over and over and over and over again. You get both a gun and knife in this game if you want to get a little bit of rogue sheriff action in there. And luckily this game does use the correct throwing knife system where I can hold left mouse button and charge the knife before throwing it, so thank god they added that. Maps in this game are fine, they all are very meme tier, which does fit the theme of this game. You don't really need to learn the maps because in the last 30 seconds it will just show you where everyone is, but honestly I just keep that feature in the game because I don't want to learn these maps. You also have a multiplayer mode in this game where you kill other people's friends and compete to see who can get the most kills within the time limit. So this game is a very much PvE murder game. You won't actually be fighting other players, but that feature definitely does not belong in this type of game anyway. This is probably the most junk food type game on this list, as I think the main appeal of this game is just being able to turn off your brain while playing something. It isn't as brain dead as your generic simulator, though it is pretty close to that. Maybe I'm being a hypocrite here because we are 20 minutes into the video and some people definitely got bored, but this game gets boring after 20 minutes. There is a shop in this game which only sells like skins, effects, and game passes. I'm not sure why you can't get new abilities. The game gives you the sprint ability, but the game could really benefit with some progression that allows you to get more powerful abilities. They may have to be disabled in the multiplayer mode to keep the game more balanced, but I don't see why the single player mode doesn't let you go nuts with the abilities. It's probably because they don't want people optimizing a solid grinding strat for this game because they really want you to buy stuff for some reason. Like, chill out. This game is a single player game. No one cares about the knife skins. The effects are also a little lame in my opinion. Maybe it just chose a bad one. I got this explosion effect and it has the most sad explosion I've ever seen. Like, look at the explosion from the Mad Murder X and then look at this one. The train effect though sounds interesting, but it would have required hours of grinding and I wasn't going to pay 1,000 Robux for it. Also, I know this game is called Murder Your Friends and you do quite literally that, but what if I like my friends? The game could sell packs or something that replace the NPCs with a specific set of people, like you can have like bacon hairs and just kill them over and over again, or maybe Slenders, famous Roblox celebrities, and if they really want to get spicy, they can add the Roblox Groomer Pack, or at the very least just add a custom option game pass or something that lets you search a bunch of Roblox usernames and add them to the pool of NPCs. And maybe if they want S tier, maybe don't even lock that behind a game pass, but I do think you can monetize a game like this even though it is single player, but selling knife skins and loot boxes ain't the way to do it. This game is relatively new, so I will give it some slack, and if there was a meme tier in this list, then it definitely belonged there, but since I'm making it as a game, it's going in C tier. It's not an awfully executed concept, but it just needs more to the progression to make it more interesting for more than 20 minutes. Moving on, let's talk about everyone's favorite Vesteria subclass, Assassin. You know what, we've been doing too much murdering in this video. I'm gonna change gears. Let's talk about assassinations instead, because they're completely different from murders. The rules are simple. You have an assassin that's trying to get you, but you're also an assassin, so you need to assassinate your target. So you just have to watch your back and make sure that the assassin trying to get you doesn't kill you, but you also have to make sure that you get your target and you're the last one standing. Trust me, the game is way more simple when you actually play it. Besides the assassin mode, you do have some special rounds thrown into the mix. There's an infection mode where you're either a zombie or survivor. The zombies just need to infect everyone to win, and the survivors just need to survive the time limit to win. Then there's the Juggernaut mode where one player is chosen as the Juggernaut and is given a whole bunch of HP, and the players just have to kill the Juggernaut to win, or the Juggernaut has to kill all the players to win. In all of the modes, you will just be using a knife, which is absolutely the only weapon in this game. There is no abilities for the knife either. All you're doing is throwing and stabbing in this game. The throwing in this game does feel a little weird because you have to hold left mouse button to throw the knife, but you're not able to actually like hold it in your hand. It'll just throw it no matter what. So it's like a combination of both the Mermaster 2 throwing system with the better throwing system, and I don't know how I feel about it. I'm gonna stop hiding it though. This game is beyond cooked. I really don't know what happened. There was a bunch of things going on. You had the Mermaster 2 ripping off this game. You had the Roblox audio purge. You had the script kiddies abusing their exploits, but a lot of things went after this game, and the one Easter egg in the Mermaster 2 hospital map that shows Prisman in the hospital is scarily accurate at this point. And maybe I'm just old now, but the game is just extremely boring. I unironically had more fun playing Pong in the lobby than the actual game. Not even the other people in the server seem enthusiastic to play this game. Like, I try my best to be very specific with my criticisms, but I really don't know what to say. I used to love this game and now it's just a complete snooze fest. Maybe it was the whole collecting knives thing that got me, which sucks in this game now too, because there is still a lot of exploits in this game, and I'm positive they're doing nothing about them auto-farming the game 24/7, so the economy of this game is just in complete shambles. And I also am not a fan of the new branding of this game. Back then, Assassin's branding felt like an edgier version of Mermaster 2. The best example I can give for this is the old lobbies, which were usually nighttime and had this more underground feel to them. But now we're in broad daylight and you have Prisman's avatar here who's trying to be Nicholas, and bro, you're not Nicholas. Like, I get it, Nicholas stole Prisman's concept, so he wants to steal something back, but I don't think his whole branding was the right thing to steal. But yeah, there's no point in playing this game in 2024. There's way better knife arena games now, and the game feels very abandoned because it is abandoned. I feel really bad putting this game in F tier, so I'm going to put it in E tier, which is a nicer way of saying F tier. I still have an ounce of nostalgia for this game, and I think it could be good if it was maintained, but it's just bad. There's no point in playing this game. Moving away from assassinations and going back to murder, let's talk about the game that's just straight up called Murder. A A lot of people seem to have forgotten this, but the whole origin of the murder game mode actually dates back to 2013 from the Gary's Mod game mode called Murder. For reference, Murder Mystery just came out in 2014 and that was the first game to bring the game mode to Roblox. But what if you didn't like Murder Mystery and wanted to play the original Gmod version, but are too scared of Steam to actually play Gmod? Well, Rolv is here to the rescue with another one of their unnecessary ports of a Steam game to Roblox. It sucks pretty bad compared to the original, but at least they kept the cheese line.
Sometimes I dream about cheese. Sometimes I dream about cheese.
Even though this game is blatantly copying the original game though, they still left out a lot of funny things like being able to play dead. You can't do that in this version for some reason. Another thing they got rid of was in the original version you're able to break glass by spamming E to interact with it. But in this game if you spam E on the glass, nothing happens. Unfortunately this game also gets rid of the funny throwing knife system because in this game you just throw your knife, it just gives it straight back to you. But in the Gmod version, if you threw your knife, you better make sure you can pick that crap up again, because otherwise you just wouldn't have a knife. And I really liked that realism to the Gmod version, and I don't know why they didn't port it over to the Roblox version. I'll give this game some credit though for porting the goofy knockback physics from the original game. It does it quite well, but obviously I still prefer the original. And yeah, you have the clue mechanic which works fine in this game where you collect green objects for points, but honestly how are you gonna mess that up? The shop in this game is boring, mainly because it has no character skins. It has your weapon skins, but Arsenal has a good roster of character skins. I don't know why they couldn't get that in. I mean, even the Gmod version got this right. And yeah, you do have the special rounds in this game, but most servers that run the original game mode on Gmod also have special rounds. And trust me, you're not missing out on much anyway. Most of these special rounds kind of suck. I really don't know who this game is for, and it also just doesn't even get updated. I don't even know why this exists. Like some of the other Rolv games I get it because they actually get updates unlike the original Steam counterparts. But this game, there's no point to it existing. Just go play the original if you really liked this game. But yeah, this game is an easy F tier. It's just blatant plagiarism, and it's really bad at plagiarism too, so it belongs nowhere else but F tier. Moving on though, let's go visit Five Nights at Freddy's. Okay, I know what you're thinking, this game is going to be complete junk, but hear me out, alright? I'm not saying this game is scary, but it's definitely the only game on this list to stay true to the horror genre that most of these murder games try to market themselves as. It feels like a slasher game mixed with murder mystery elements, and it does some kind of unique things. For example, the innocents, or I mean employees, they only win if they complete all the tasks or kill whoever the murderer is. And these tasks are just your Dead by Daylight tasks. This game also places more emphasis on items because you have things like flashlights and medkits. And the medkits are useful because in this game, weapons don't actually one-shot. Like, you can escape from the murder if you really wanted to and then heal up using a medkit. And since this is Five Nights at Freddy's, you do have the working camera system in this game and the door. All of these are attached to power just like the original game, so you can't use them forever. And I have to give them extra points for adding Phone Guy.
What is going on in there? I was checking the cameras and something is just not right. Something is not right at all. I'm calling the police. Oh, what, you think this is some sort of murder mystery or something? We'll get to the bottom of this.
One thing I like about this game that other people might not like is the stamina mechanic. In this game, if you jump or sprint too much, you really just use up all your stamina and you won't be able to do much movement-wise. I know some people hate stuff like that, but it does prevent the murder from jumping too much and also makes the sprinting actually balance, and the sprinting does fit this game very well, so I like it. There are two main issues I have with this game. The first one is that the deaths in this game look like junk. Like, what is this? It just plays a jump scare sound effect and it just says this generic "you died" text. If they want to go for a jump scare, they should copy Survive the Killers thing where when they kill you, it like flashes your screen with their face. I think that'd fit this Five Nights at Freddy's game much better. But the second issue is the most pressing one, is the maps. The maps are all very high quality, but the quantity is very low. You only get 3 maps in this game. I'm gonna be honest, I only put this game in the video just to have an F tier game to meme on, but after actually playing it, it's not that bad, so I'm gonna put it in the top of C tier. I would unironically put it in the same tier as Murder Mystery 2 if it had a lot more maps in it, but 3 maps is just not good enough for me, I'm sorry. Moving on though, let's talk about Cat. Oh, here we go again. Another abandoned knife arena game. Except this one actually holds up. Well, mostly holds up. This game uses the correct knife throwing system, and it even enhances it with the whole knife ability thing, since fully charging your throw will allow you to use your knife ability, while a non-fully charged throw just functions as your typical knife throw. There's also a gun in this game, but unlike another knife and gun fighting game, it doesn't completely overshadow the knife, since the gun has a long reload time. but it's still useful if you can land your shots, and bullets are more instant than the windup the knife has, so it feels balanced in this game. This whole game is just good fun though. The main mode you'll be playing this game is free-for-all, however it barely feels like a competition since there's no like leaderboard or winner at the end. I like to think of this game more as a playground. Getting kill streaks is satisfying in this game, and I really like the pop-ups you get for them, like the headshot pop-ups and the 5 multi-kill and all that stuff. It makes the game feel really fun. Besides the free-for-all mode, you do have the murder game mode, which plays like your standard murder game with murderer, sheriff, and innocent. But let's be real, the free-for-all mode just completely overshadows this mode, and lobbies are really going to vote for it. So this feels more like a special round to change things up every now and then, but not something you'll be playing very often in this game. The progression in this game is also very nice. You'll just unlock a lot of things by just playing the game. This game doesn't beg for your wallet too much. You can't even buy the currency in this game, even if you really wanted to. Unfortunately though, some of the powers like Shotgun and Tesla are locked behind game passes, which is a little sad. Moving on to my extreme nitpicks about this game, I wish this game had a crosshair because just using the regular Roblox cursor feels strange. It doesn't really mess with your ability to aim, but it just makes the game feel a little cheap. And speaking of a little cheap, the maps look a bit dated, but design wise they're still fun to play on. You also have this useless radio UI on the screen, which might as well just be removed because the developer disabled radios, and I don't think the radios are ever going to be returning, so it just takes up a lot of screen space for no reason. And since this game is abandoned, some things are just starting to deteriorate. There are a few minor things like the bloody knife texture missing, and they also did Jack dirty by removing his afro and sunglasses. But the most annoying thing is this bug where you keep spawning in the sky and have to reset, which may or may not ever be fixed at this point. Honestly, this is still a very solid knife game to hop in every now and then, and it's still good fun to get some kill streaks, but honestly the lack of maintenance is just going to slowly kill this game. If I was making this video 3 years ago, this game would definitely be an S tier, but the game's barely changed in 3 years, and honestly it's just not going to hold up for 2024. So I'm going to have to put this game in B tier. Moving on though, let's talk about a knife arena game that actually still gets updates in 2024. Easiest way to describe this game is Cat, but if the game was still being updated and maintained. Unlike Cat though, this game has a whopping 7 modes instead of just 2, so let's go over all of them. The mode you'll most likely be playing the most of in this game is the free-for-all mode, which is also just the best mode in this game. It plays like your standard knife and gun battleground game, though this game does some pretty fun things I want to point out. There's this king mechanic in this game where if the game deems you worthy enough, you are crowned as a king, which will give you a shield allowing you to take a hit without dying, but it also puts a giant target on your back where everyone can see where you are, and there can't be a new king unless the current king dies. I personally find this really fun, though some people do hate RNG stuff like this in their games, but I just thought I'd point it out. Just like Cat, you have your goofy knife abilities in this game, but unlike Cat, none of them are locked behind game passes, and you can lock all of them just by playing the game. Depending on what the server votes, you may not be allowed to use them though, since the game does give players the option to vote for matches with no abilities. I will say though, for my few hours of playing this game, the hive mind tends to vote free-for-all with abilities most of the time. Anyway, besides the free-for-all mode, you have the team deathmatch mode, which is just a less chaotic version of free-for-all, since obviously you're split into 2 teams, and whichever team gets the most kills wins. Then you have Murder Madness, which plays most like Assassin, where the last person standing wins and you can only use knives. And then you have Sheriff Showdown, which is just the same thing as Murder Madness, but instead of using knives, you're using guns. There's also a Juggernaut mode in this game where a bunch of sheriffs have to team up against a Juggernaut who wields a knife. I'd say this does the Juggernaut mode better than Assassin, since it actually shows you how much HP the Juggernaut has left, and it also makes more sense for the Juggernaut to be a murderer while everyone else is a sheriff. Then you have the Capture the Flag mode, which just plays like Capture the Flag, both knives and guns. I'm not gonna lie, this is definitely the weakest mode in this game since the maps are just way too small for something like this. If you really like Capture the Flag in your murder game, just play the Mad Murder X Capture the Flag instead. Finally, you do have your Murder Mystery game mode in this game, which is just Murder Mystery, the same rules as that game. It doesn't feel as bad as the one in Cat though, since the maps don't look like they were made in 2015 and have a lot more room to move around in. This game just does so many things right though. It has an actual cursor, it has the correct knife throwing system, and it's also the only game on this list to successfully ban my tiny fly avatar without doing something dramatic like using custom avatars or removing all packages entirely. There is one slightly annoying thing in this game where getting an achievement will cover your entire screen with your reward. It should just copy what the Mad Murder X does and have a separate UI for me to claim all the achievement stuff, not just jump scare me while I'm playing the game. I really don't know why no one else is talking about this game, but they should be. If you really like Assassin or Cat, then just play this instead because this is so much better. The game is deserving of S tier. I'm going to put it next to the Mad Murder X. They're kind of equals in a way because the Mad Murder X is just the best top tier casual murder game, while this is like the top tier sweaty murder game in my opinion. Time for the final game on this list though, we're going to talk about Murder Royale. Peak Roblox innovation has led us to this moment. We started off in 2014 with Murder Mystery, but times have changed. By combining Fortnite from Epic Games with the murder genre from Roblox, we are graced with Murder Royale. But did they cook? The rules are as simple as they're gonna get. You have one murderer, one sheriff, and 48 other innocents. Except in practice, it's more like 19 other innocents because you won't be getting a full lobby in this game at all, I'm sorry. The player chosen as the murderer has to keep killing until they die, or are at least the last one standing. If they die, another player is selected as the murderer, and the cycle just continues until there's one player left. The player chosen as the sheriff has a similar pressure mechanic where if they take too long to kill the murderer, they will also die. They are assisted with finding the murder through the minimap, which tells you the general area the murder is in. And if the sheriff dies, another player is made sheriff. There is no picking up the gun in this game, it just keeps changing sheriffs over and over again. If you do die, there's also a chance to come back to a 1v1 with another player who also lost, but only if the game says 1v1s are open, because otherwise, you're just out. They also throw some special rounds into the mix like Imposter, where everyone is the same character, or Helpless, where there are no sheriffs and just 5 murderers. Since this is a battle royale game, you also have the giant maps and the storm, or in this case gas, that will close in on the map. The maps in this game are pretty fun to play on, mainly because of the ability to break glass, which I always love to see in games like this. Unfortunately, this game fumbles the bag really hard. The throwing knife system in this game is the most junked knife throwing system I've ever seen in a Roblox murder game. It does have the charge mechanic, but that's mainly for show. Since you can actually throw the knife instantly without the wind up, it does still have a cooldown though. Basically, the throwing knife mechanic in this game feels more like an ability that you cast rather than an actual winding up and throwing a knife, if that makes sense. The projectile speed also sucks, so it's pretty hard to land a hit. But for some reason, that's not even the end of it. Because you can also just do this. It's called knife riding. Yes, because this is what we were all missing in our Roblox murder games, the ability to ride our knives. This feels like one of those things that was a bug, but the developers thought it was so funny they kept it in as a feature. There are some modes in this game that disable it, but in my opinion it just kills the game. Maybe have a special round where you can knife ride, but literally the skill ceiling in this game is just people who know how to knife ride and people who don't know how to knife ride. The moment you learn the technique of the jank knife throwing system, you're just significantly better at the game, and all I have to do is spend 5 minutes watching a YouTube video. It's not like the game teaches this either. I had to dig for this nonsense, and I know I said I love my goofy nonsense, but this is just way too far. If the throwing knife system wasn't junk though, this would unironically be a pretty good murder game. Like if only this had the murder mayhem combat mechanics, this would be like A tier, maybe even S tier. But I guess they really want people to be able to crank 90s in their battle royale murder Roblox game. Also, tiny avatars are an issue in this game, and I had to make sure to take a long shower after recording this segment because abusing the tiny avatar and the knife riding mechanics just felt so unbelievably stinky. So yeah, the whole game is just level 9,000 people who know how to knife ride, bullying people who don't know how to knife ride. I honestly don't think the mechanic would be that bad if it was easier to do. I mean, I pretty much mastered it by now, but the average Joe isn't going to spend the time to learn this tech in a Roblox murder game. Like, what was wrong with just good aim being the indicator of skill anyway? What a way to end off the video though with a D tier game. I still think the concept is funny, and honestly Roblox, he probably just thinks this game is a meme anyway, so as a meme, this is a top tier meme, but as a game, it's kind of bad. Well, there you have it, the entire list. I do want to give a quick shout out to the people fast forwarding to the part of this video right now. Like, look, I get it. We all have busy lives and things we want to do with our time. I really don't believe 40 minutes of everyone's day needs to revolve around people listening to me yap about Roblox murder games. And I'm not going to use the video editing to try and hide the tier list like other tier list videos on YouTube. I do ask that you at least use the timestamps in the description if you're mad about a ranking and watch the video segment on that specific game first before mailing me your pipe bombs, but you do you. If you are the 1% of people who watch start to finish, words cannot express how much I greatly appreciate you. I don't really have much else to say, so stay tuned for the face reveal coming up soon for the 10,000 subscriber special, where I'll thank you guys for that milestone as well. And all games featured in this video are linked in the description too, so check them out for yourself and form your own opinions. That's it from me though, bye bye.